Good morning, everyone. I myself Vidisha Mitro, on behalf of the students of Department Environmental Science, MSc second year, Ashutosh College, welcome you all to the second webinar of the Environmental Awareness webinar series. The webinar series is organized on behalf of the Community Outreach Initiative by the students of MSc second semester of Department of Environmental Science, Ashutosh College. Our main incentive to arrange the webinar series is not only to spread awareness but also to take baby steps to resolve the issues. On that note, my request to Ms. Shayani De, or my fellow host for today, is to introduce Mr. Shumanto Kundu, sir, who later on will make us more aware on the topic elephant tail, a short note on their ecology and conservation. Thank you for joining us on this important day of ours. Over to you, Shayani.
Thank you, Vidisha. Am I audible?
Yes. Yeah, you are audible.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I am delighted to introduce our eminent guest speaker of today's webinar, Shumanto Kundu sir. He, being a senior program officer of wildlife at the Corbett Foundation at Kaziranga of Assam in India, has not only been working in the field of wildlife, but also in the field of the whole biodiversity conservation projects, especially elephants, wildlife corridors, and human-wildlife conflict since the year of 2006. He have also been associated with illustrious organizations like the GB Plant Institute of Himalayan Environment and Development, Asian Nature Conservation Foundation, Center for Ecological Sciences, and Wildlife Trust of India. Every adjective we add will be less for him. We are extremely fortunate to have him in this webinar session. We, the students of Master of Science of second semester, as well as the professors from Department of Environmental Science of our esteemed Ashutosh College, are really thanking him for sparing his propitious time. I now request our respected sir to say something before starting his presentation. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thank you, Shani. Thank you, Vidisha, and thank you and students of Ashutosh College, Department of Environmental Science. Basically, I am a field person. I have learned whatever about elephants and elephant ecology. It is in the field. So I am not a theory person, frankly speaking. So if you are asking me more theory-related question, I won't be able to answer those questions. But the field experience I am going to share. I have worked in very different landscapes like North Bengal, then Odisha, then Uttarakhand and Assam. And also sometime I have spent small time in Madhumala in Tamil Nadu. So it is like I have quite a big experience of working in different landscapes. So different landscape means different type of ecology, different type of conservation needs, different type of needs of the biodiversity conservation. So need for Assam won't be equal to need of India, like Uttarakhand. So different states or different landscape have different strategies. So I am going to talk about this thing. There will be little part of you can say theory portion and little portion what I have gained my experience through my field visits and other things. Okay. And I'll be if there is any need, you can ask me questions in Bengali. There is no problem. I am a Bengali, so there is no don't hesitate to ask questions. Maybe during the later part after I finish, or if there is any urgent questions, you can raise your hand or just put on your mic and give me sir, I need a question to ask. So I am okay to have some questions. You can grill me anytime, anywhere. Okay, grill and grind me. I am ready to be grilled and grind. Okay. Thank you. Now what to Shani?
Sir, you can start your presentation now.
Okay, so I am starting my presentation. I would request rest of the people to please switch off their mic, and I will be also switching off my video so that I can get maximum network, because I am staying in a Kaziranga. It's not a very big good place to have better network. Am I? My screen is visible to all?
Yes, sir. It is visible.
Okay. So now the formal welcome. I welcome all the students and faculty members of Department of Environmental Science, Ashutosh College, and I am highly glad that I have got the opportunity to present my work, because this is the, I think, first or second time I am speaking about my work or my prime interest elephants. So thank you once again. So what we are going to tell today, it is learn today about elephants, and short note on their ecology and conservation, because elephant, like as its body is a huge topic, so it is very difficult to like cover all the topics. So I have tried my level best, and this is a photo in the background is from Corbett landscape. This is the elephant herd in Dhikala. Those who have visited Corbett, they might have known this place. So first I speak about 2-3 lines about our organization. Our organization started from Corbett landscape in 1994, and you see we have presence in different parts of India. In central India, in Uttar, we have Kanha, Pench area. Then we have presence in Corbett. We have presence in Tamenglong. This is the new project we have started. This is like community-based conservation initiative we are doing there in Tamenglong, Manipur. It's a very beautiful place, but very remote place. And so next, what do we do? We have like human wildlife conflict issues. We work on wildlife research. We work on flood support. There is flood support mostly in Kaziranga, because you know Kaziranga is a flat plain of area, and huge pressure is going on during the floods. And then we have awareness. Then we have capacity building on the stuff. And awareness, you might know that one of the major tool of biodiversity conservation is awareness. So this is our part on awareness. This is also a part of what I am doing today, is a part of our agenda, this awareness generation. So very briefly, we are going to talk about the evolution, elephant evolution. So elephant evolved it around 50 million years ago. A small pig-like creature called Morytherium. Presently, we can find 2 genus of elephants, Asian elephants and African elephants. And nearest, closest extinct relatives of elephants are living in sea, the dugongs. So if you see the graph, you see the Morytherium. Then we have lots of different types of elephants roaming in this area. But nearly 10,000 years ago, we lost the mammoth. And only now, presently, we are having Elephas and Loxodonta. Now, as per the latest thing or latest scientific data, the elephants have been divided into 2. Africa, we are having 2 elephants, the African savanna elephants and the African bush elephants. The bush elephants are smaller in size and mostly stays in the tropical rainforest. And the African savanna elephants are the largest mammal. They are the robust. They can go up to 13 feet. Then they are called the African Loxodonta africana. And you see the distribution, it's sparsely distributed all along the central and southern Africa. Northern Africa, they doesn't have, because of they have lost due to Sahara desert. And in Asia, we have these Indian elephants, which is also called as mainland elephant. We are found in Thailand, Burma, India. Then we have one separate subpopulation called Sri Lankan elephant, which is found in Sri Lanka. Then we have a small these island elephants. One is Bornean elephant, and one is the Sumatran elephant. The Sumatran elephants are the critically endangered. Their population is going down very rapidly due to massive scale of forest deforestation and habitat degradation. Then come to the African elephant and Asian elephants. We always make this mistake I'm sorry to say, students, you have made a mistake in the flyer. The elephant in the background is African elephant, not the Asian elephant. So before putting something, you have to do some research what photo you are going to use. So if you are talking about Asian elephants, so it is better to put a photo of Asian elephant, not African elephants. So this is the one thing. You see the differences. You can clearly see the shape of the ear, shape of the back, shape of the head is different. So you can find more difference in the, if you search in net, you will find more difference. But the shape of the ear and the shape of the back or the backbone is different in different two separate elephants. Now, come to India. India has a very culturally strong heritage about elephants. So in Odisha, this is from Konark temple. You see, this is a war elephant, and it is told or it is believed that the best war elephants were from Odisha. And you can see lots of elephant sculptures in Odisha. I'll show you another sculpture that is also from Odisha, one of the oldest sculptures of rock sculpture of elephants in India. Then come to Indian elephants. First, we should know what is the status. IUCN status is endangered. WPA, like Wildlife Protection Act status, is Schedule 1. CITES is Conventional International Trade on Endangered Species. It is also Appendix 1. So it is getting, elephants are one of the highest ranked animal in the status ranked animal. So as per population, there is around 27,000 as per 2007 estimation. Height varies. Southern elephants, South Indian elephants are little smaller than the North Indian elephants, and they can weigh up to 5 tons. Because this thing happened because when we are collaring in North Bengal, we had to order for extra large collars. That is like bigger than the length is much more than the collar we used to put, like scientists used to put in the African collars, because this neck region is more robust in Asian elephants. And you can see lots of areas, subtropical broadleaf forest everywhere. You can see elephants in North India. You can see elephants in dry deciduous areas of southern India. You can see elephants in Arunachal Hills. You can see Nagaland. You can see elephants in Meghalaya. So elephants are more or less everywhere. Then at a glance, there is small basic information. How much time they spend? They spend around 18 hours on grazing and browsing. And browsing and foraging, I'll show. Browse means those who eat. Browser means those who eat leaves and twigs and grasses, everything. And grazers means who graze, like who are eating only the grasses. So this is the difference between browsers and grazers. And adult elephants consume about 120 to 200 kilos of fresh plant material per day, 150 liters of water. And it is found that their diet chart varies greatly. In North Bengal, we found that more than 100 or 200, nearly 200 species of edible. They have selected more than 200 species of plants for their food, and they eat everything: bark, twigs, branches, climbers, fruit, flowers, everything they eat. And about the reproductive system, most of the females gain maturity at the age of 18 to 20 years. This is the first first time when they am I audible, na Shiny?
Yes, sir, you are audible. Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay, so most of the also they get maturity at the age of 18 to 20, and that is the first time they give birth to babies. And clubbing intervals between two, generally is a gap between 2 to 3 to 4 years. And the gestation around 18 to 22 months. Generally it's around 20 months. So longest gestation period. One calf is usually twins, very rare. Basically, in large-bodied mammals, twins are very rare. In rhino also, twins are very rare. I have reported one twin from rhino twins from Jaldapara, and previously only one record of rhino twins is reported from India, that is in 1955. So elephant twins are also very rare. and weigh up the baby elephant can weigh up to 100 kilo, nearly 100 kilos. And social structure is matrilineal. So matriarch, the elephant herd, is always led by a female, not by male. So male herd is different, female herd is different. I'll talk about that thing later. So I used to I gained this knowledge while doing in the field. So you have seen this type of animal. So this is a male elephant, and this portion is the temporal gland, and there is a secretion from the temporal gland. And this is a dead female. This is also having a small secretion in the this thing. This secretion is called as must or musti. So this is like a natural healthy phenomenon. Adult bull elephants, in especially in African elephants, this must is seen in both male and females. But in Asian elephants, majority 99.99% cases, more males show this phenomenon. Female rarely shown this phenomenon. Must is secretion from the temporal gland. It's a secretion of different hormone, and this occurs during the sexual when it becomes sexually active. During mass, the testosterone level goes up 20 times higher than the normal. So you see that makes the animal more robust, aggressive. This chemical nature of the mass fluid varies from two different, in young bulls, who are young, there is like a sweet smelling, but in the adult males, like this one, so like very pungent smell, and you can feel, and you can, if the wind is coming from the elephant side, you can smell it from at least 500 to 600 meters away. So strong smell. So while we are working in the field, we used to, whenever we used to get this pungent, like fish, rotten fish type of smell, so we used to avoid that there is a musk elephant. Also, we have to retreat, because this is one of the most unpredictable animal in the whole world. Even as per Dr. Sukumar also, Dr. Raman Sukumar, who is the elephant ecologist, said while I was started my work in 2006, he said, Sumanto, if you see a musk elephant, don't go near to that elephant. Never, because we used to track elephants on foot, on vehicle. So it is like a big no for us to chase or go near to this musk elephant. And this female, this is the female. As we know, the Asian elephants, female Asian elephants hardly show musk secretion, but this elephant died, and I saw this musk secretion in that temporal gland. So it was believed that sometimes the elephant might be pregnant or in high stress stage. So later, during the post-mortem, the doctor examined and found that there is a very small baby inside the one embryo. Fetus was there inside that uterus. So that implies that the female Asian elephants can show musk secretion during early stage of pregnancy also. So this is the musk in Asian elephants, and there is one characteristic. You can see this video. You see these legs are wet. It is not by water. It is during musk they secrete urine dribble from the penis also. So that is one of the characteristic of a full musk. So this elephant is in full musk. It is from Kaziranga. And see, all the people has taken like a safe distance from this animal, but unfortunately this animal was quite it was quiet and calm. It never chased us, and I was around 20 to 25 feet away from this animal. I was in a vehicle also. I had gone for a ride in Kaziranga. That time we got him, and you see this ear is broken now, or is torn. So this is one of the characteristic of this animal. This is if I see this elephant again in jungle, I can easily distinguish this elephant from other tuskers with this note. So this is like one identification criteria what we have learned in the field, how to distinguish one tusker from another tusker. So population estimation, you see around 13-14 countries in Asia are having elephants, and the total number goes up to roughly around 45 to 50,000. And in captive, we are having around 15,000 elephants. I'm not going to talk about captive elephants because it's a very different issue, and I have very less knowledge about captive elephants. So in India, so there is like Karnataka and Assam is one of the highest highest states with highest numbers of elephants. And you see this Manipur, Mizoram, they are also having some small population of elephants. And you see this Chhattisgarh below this 247. At least like few years back, there's a elephant population is very sparse in Chhattisgarh, and in now presently in Bandhavgarh. This is like Bandhavgarh is famous for tiger. Now Bandhavgarh is having around 50 elephants, and all these elephants migrated from Odisha. They were like migrated due to mining activities and other activities. They have lost their habitat and they have forced to venture into Chhattisgarh. This is like dry deciduous area, and they are now staying in Chhattisgarh. So the conflict from Odisha has now gone to conflict in Chhattisgarh. So this is like a shifting, where we humans are shifting conflict from one place to another place due to for our own benefit. So types of elephants we encounter in the field. So we are having a tuskers or a datal in Bengali you can say. Then one tusk, right tusk we call diagonist, like who are having only right tusk. Biagonist means which is having only right left tusk. Then we are having a makna. Makna means male tusk, male without any tusk, and then female. And this is the fetus. You see, this is like a very like few months old fetus, and it's so small you can take this fetus in your hand, and all this thing developed. I was talking about that dead elephant. It was from that dead elephant we have recovered this fetus. But unfortunately, for the forest department, couldn't like preserve it. I don't know, due to some unknown reason, they destroyed it by burned it. We researchers, so many requests was made to preserve this specimen, but I don't know, somehow that DFO was not willing to conserve. He said, I am not going to take responsibility because it is a Schedule 1 animal, so it's like destroyed. So it is like a big learning lesson. It is stored in some museum or something. People could learn about many things about this elephant. So makna is like tuxless. It is like in Bengali we can say makunda, like male without any dari gof makunduna. So that type of it's called makna. But there is maknas are more robust than the male like tuskers, because the Mahout generally say that makna. Why makna are more robust? Because as they don't have tusk in the like they doesn't grow tusk, so they can suckle for longer time. And the tuskers who are having who grew tusk, they doesn't suckle that much. So makna can suckle for 4 years. So that is the advantage they say that the makna gets. So that's why maybe they are having a more robust body features than the tuskers. And you won't believe that majority of the cases tuskers are beaten by the maknas while there is a fight for territory or fight for mating. So this is the like social structure. You see, this is the elephant herd in Corbett, and all these are females, and there is a one male. What happens when the male attains maturity at around 15 or 16 years of age? They leave the herd and go to another herd or live a solitary life, because the elephants have a very strong family structure, and they doesn't allow interbreeding or breeding between or sexual meeting between brothers and sisters. So that's why male has to leave the herd and they have to find mate from another herd. So this is a like very strong social structure they are having. And all these aged the senior elephants are like interconnected. They are moms and sisters. So it is like a family herd with mostly constituted with males, females. And you see, this is a like one small baby elephant, and how she is protected by his mother and his I think his or her baby brother, because you see this is small tusk is going on. So this is the thing. There's baby elephants are gets more protection from their mothers. So this is a tusker, you see. So I was talking about identification marks. So this is the weird fold we follow. This is this humorous things we follow to identify these elephants. And this is from Similipal National Park in Odisha. And that was, I don't know whether it is in must or not, but because of we were playing on mud, there was a huge elephants around 9 feet or something. So it's like this. Then we have a group called male groups. Generally, these male groups are called as Maljuria. So I haven't written it. So male groups are called Maljuria. They like it's an association between 2 or 3 males. So you see 2 males. This is from Corbett. 2 male elephants roaming separately. And this is a temporary association. They might stay for 2-3 months, then get separated. So it's like a changing mates, not his mates, changing friends every time. So then there is some field keys, how we understand the elephants, like height and body, their listening, watching their earphones. This is the like full-grown male, full-grown female, full-grown male, like this. So there's lots of elephants in the field. How we will understand? So you see, there is different types of tusk shapes. So according to that shape of the tusk, we can distinguish the elephants. And also with these ear marks, you see this ear, different ear have different shape. This pigmentation is there. Some ears are torn, some ears have some holes. So these type of things help us during field work to identify the elephants and identify the tuskers. So this is a one tusker. You see this tusk is small, relatively small, and there's a big tumorous thing in the body. So I captured this animal in 2007 in Chapramaari, and in 2011 I have gone to Bhutan for some conflict survey. As soon as I show the forest department stuff, because it is like 12 or 13 kilometers away from Chapramaari, this Bhutan area. So they recognize this elephant readily. They said that these elephants frequently raid crops in this portion area in Bhutan side and goes back to India. So this is like photo identification, what we call. So based on this photo identification, Varun Goswami, there's an eminent scientist who are trying to do a photo identification guide in Kaziranga, and with this for ear fold, tusk shape, ear shape. So they have counted around 400 or 500, made a chart of 400 or 500 elephants in Kaziranga area. So you can search about Varun Goswami and read more about their like structure. And this identification guide, if you photo capture, recapture guide, was originally conceptualized by Cynthia Moss in Africa, Amboseli National Park, because Amboseli National Park is a savanna area and it's very easy to see the elephants far away because there is no tall trees, and they will mostly roam in the savanna or the grasslands. So it is very easy to identify these body features. But in North India, or especially in northern India, like where tall grasses, elephant grasses are there, is the elephant grasses you might have seen in Jaldapara. Elephant grass can go up to 12 feet or 30 minutes. It's very difficult to like see the elephants rather. So that's why this exercise is very tough for them. So I told you, the elephant's height is around 12 feet or 13 feet. How we are measuring in the field? So it's a very simple thing. So the elephants have two front feet. The difference you see, the front feet is more rounder in shape, and the hind feet is oval shape. So if you get a good circumference of this whole the feet prints or the feet, so circumference is the tree into 2 is the height of the elephant. So the height of the shoulder, height of the shoulder and shoulder height of the elephant. So generally these elephants I measured in Boxa. The height of this elephant shoulder height came around 10 feet. This is a huge tusker because majority of the tuskers we saw in North Bengal was around 9 feet and 9 feet 6 inches, 9 feet 7 inches. And that was, this elephant was nearly more than 10 feet. So it was a huge tusker and it was a prominent crop raider in Boxa area. So this is a very simple, we put this thing, we measure this these diameters, and with diameters there is a simple 2 pi r, that formula we use, and we calculate the shoulder height. So then elephant corridors. So what is the elephant corridors? Elephant corridors are connectivity or the patches which connects two different habitats. It is not that like we are going through a forest, we are going through Chapramari, and forest is everywhere, and we can call it a corridor. The elephant crossing the road is not corridor. So it's like from Chapramari, they are going to some other forest like Diana. That connectivity will be called as corridor. So there is around 101 recognized elephant corridor across India. That doesn't include the international connectivity, because international connectivity India is having international connectivity with Nepal, Bhutan, and Myanmar. So this is not connected. This is only national level corridors. So there is 3 books. You can see this Rite of Passage. This is the latest book which are having 101 corridor, and this book was published in 2001. And this is the Elephant Tusk book. So you can search Rite of Passage. So if you are writing something about elephant corridor, if you want to take any reference, কোনো reference নিতে হবে, just search these books and get a reference from these books. So this is like one of the authentic books about elephant corridors in India. So these books you can remember, and if you want to write something article about elephant corridors, or you want to see how many corridors are there in West Bengal or in Uttarakhand, so you can write. So this is the Rite of Passage. I have surveyed all the corridors in Uttarakhand. So there was 11 corridor, and actually I have walked along all the corridors from starting one habitat to another habitat, through the forest land, through the like if there is any plantation, anything. So it is like total work for me, for like it took around 2.5 years to complete this survey in this whole stretch. It is from Dehradun area to it is like Indo-Nepal border with Uttarakhand and Nepal. So this is, and I mostly stayed in this area. My prime interest was this area, this 7, 8, 9. It is in the Corbett landscape. So because Corbett is having the largest population of elephants in Uttarakhand, so sparse the elephant migration, east and westward migration was there. So this eastward migration, I had these corridors, and I faced tremendous challenges, because not only elephants were there, there were the tigers. So in a tiger landscape, it is very, very, very difficult to work. And the terrain in Uttarakhand, you know, some of us have gone there in Uttarakhand. You see, in after Haridwar, the hill area starts. So elephants are very good climbers. So you have to follow that track, follow the dung piles. You have to follow those tracks of the elephants, and literally follow the elephant tracks. And you get face to face with the elephants while doing the survey. You ran, you again come back on the second day to complete the survey. So this is like a huge task. So if my friends have gone to Haridwar, and from Haridwar to Dehradun, you will actually cross 2 elephant corridors. And in Corbett, if you had gone to Corbett, you will see 3 corridors. There is probably all these boards are still there in corridor area, where I have put the corridor boards in, like with my organization, the WTA, I have put all these corridor boards. Then North Bengal, we are having 13, 14 corridors. You see North Bengal landscape is so much fragmented, and fragmentation means more connectivity. So elephants will from Boxa will go to Jaldapara, from Jaldapara it will go to Moraghat Aref to Gurumara to Chapramari to Mal Block to Mahananda, and after Mahananda there is no viable patch of elephants. So viable patch for elephants, because international border between they have stopped the movement of the elephants. So after Mahananda, there is not a very big habitat is left for the elephants, especially herd elephants. Only small herds stay, and the bull elephants in Karshiang division, you will see the majority of the conflict are by the bull elephants, and the elephants are going there for crop raiding purpose. So this is the stage of the North Bengal. Highly fragmented landscape, that's one of the highest conflict rates in the whole India, or rather you can say whole world. North Bengal is experiencing one of the highest degree of conflict in India. So now we come to, this is the thing, what the radio telemetry study. So 8 elephants fitted with VHF, like very high frequency radio collars to monitor the movement. And this is one of our field assistant climbed up a tree to get the signal because of this radio telemetry. These old collars used to emit signal, which can be like if you are not getting the signals from the ground level, you have to climb a little higher. You can get the signal properly. So to understand the position of the elephants, one of our field assistants is to do this thing frequently. He's a very good climber and very knowledgeable person. He's from Rajabhat Khawa, Corbett, North Bengal, a very village person. So he has like from childhood days he knew about elephants. So he was a very good tracker. And we also fitted 5 elephants with satellite link GPS collars. So we'll see that how this VHF collar used to work. Please listen carefully. You will listen some tick 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 sound. That is the sound of the we are receiving from the antenna. We are receiving from the collar and we are receiving it through the antenna. So this beat sound you have seen a tick 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 that was emitted from the from the collars. And actually what happened during our study, we used to collar like one herd, we are having only one collar, or we are tracking only where we know that signal is coming from one element. But in fact, what happens, this is a herd, this a female is staying inside a herd. So actually we are surrounded by elephants. Sometimes like it is 30, we are standing the point where we have surrounded by 30 or 40 elephants and we have nothing to do. মানে আমাদের কিচ্ছু করার নেই. We are just completely helpless. We are in the hands of the elephant. But wow, we survived and we all are doing fine. So it is like a life, very interesting life for us. So first day, I am sharing my one thought. So like first day work in Jaldapara. I went there. So they said that, sir, the elephant is very nearby. We have to walk around 250 meters and we'll get to see the elephants. I said, okay. So as soon as I started, I saw the footprints of elephant. I said, is it elephant? My field assistant said, sir, ये elephant का है. Then I said, थोड़ा सा आगे गया. तो मैं बोला ये किसका है? बोला ये गौड़ का है. बोला अच्छा. तो फिर एक और फुटप्रिंट देखा. मैंने बोला ये किसका है? बोला सर ये तो राइनो का है. मैं बोला मैं नहीं जाऊंगा भाई. मुझे जाना नहीं है. First day, that was like first day field work. So, but the thing is that those field assistants help me understand the elephant, help me understand other animals also. And with the support of them, now after 2 months or 1 month, I started doing my work properly and I gained that like confidence to work along the Jaldapara or Boxer, dense forest of Boxer Tiger Reserve and even grassland in Jaldapara. And that gave me immense pleasure. While I started working in corridors in Uttarakhand, my field assistant was not so good, but still I managed because of my experience in North Bengal gave me a very good chance. So now we'll talking about the radio telemetry. So this is the forest division in North Bengal. You see,
Sir.
Hello?
Sir, I have a question. Sir,
yes, sir.
Did you notice any difference between the footprints of the rhino and the elephant?
Yeah. Rhino and this is difference. Rhino's footprints are smaller in size and their hoof marks is there. But in the elephants, the hoof mark is not there. There's a nail marks will be there. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. So do you see this elephant forest division in North Bengal? This is highly fragmented. Only big chunk of forest is there in Boxer Jaldapara, and that forms the eastern Duard Elephant Reserve. And inside, this is the like all this scattered away elephant. Like this is another big chunk. This is the wildlife too, the Gurumara Chapramari and this forest of Chalsa. So these are the most viable population like habitat in North Bengal. So this is like all the female elephants what we had collared, their movement pattern, like how they used to move. Some used to move like very local in between Boxer and Jaldapara. Some used to move from further away. They have gone inside Nepal also. And one elephant used to move to like Manas also. Move somewhat up to Manas like Bhutan in Assam. And male Male are also localized. One elephant used to travel a lot, that I'll show. So this is like a one huge makna, we call it, and that movement pattern I'll plot. So be careful, you will see there's a lots of movement will be here. So this is the first capture in February 2005, then the movement is starting. Locally in October, up to October, so this is like all these movements are up to based in Boxa only. So from October 31st, it started moving out. So you see, in November 6, from 31st October, it gone to Ripu Chirang area and again come back within like 13-14 days. It came back to same spot. So it's like a huge. You see, I'm showing you once again. So November 1st, then November, or all the corridors it moves, go up to Kochugao for in Assam, and again coming back in the same time. So same time up to again come back to Rajabhat because it's a very localized elephant. It used to stay in most of the time in close to Rajabhat area only. So this the elephant had died due to train hit. So a huge loss. It's more than 10.5 feet. A huge elephant, huge makna. I used to like fear the elephant while trekking on foot. Like it's like a huge one, huge. That's a huge makna. So that's why you call him as a Raja. Then we have a radio collar elephant in southern western part. Is near Malbajar, near Chalsa. You can see this is a Damdim area. So in Apalchan Reserve Forest. It also moves to some movement going here and there. Then it suddenly started movement and went up to Sukna, then up to Nepal border. So it started raiding crops here. All these movements are crop raiding movements. It was staying in this reserve forest in the daytime. In the night time, it is raiding crops. And that time it was with not only it was with like 90 or 95 elephants. Then after raiding crops and other thing, it again moved back to Apalchan. Again moved back to Apalchan, and later he stays there for a whole. And when we tracked him in Apalchan, it was like only 5 or 6 elephants. So no other elephants were there. So during crop raiding time, they conglomerate in a huge number. I don't know they have a huge communication system, and I used to track them during their movement in like this is a satellite collar, but still we get this VHF thing was there. So on foot we used to track them during the daytime also. So like a small small herd during the lean period, but in crop raiding time, it was like part of a huge group of 90-95 elephants. So this is the study from Corbett radio telemetry study. Then human elephant conflict. First thing first, what we are experiencing. So this is like face of this thing. And not only elephants, human conflict is there. It was also reported in Gaja Sastra. You see, so Gaja Sastra is like a book where you can find everything. So major reasons for human-elephant conflict we all know. So habitat degradation and habitat fragmentation, block of corridor, linear development. Linear development means like rail line, construction of rail line, road lines, etc. Developmental activities like propose forest. Conversion of forest land, human population explosion, because this is one major thing. Previously the population was less, so there's less pressure on the forest, population has gone up, and now this lockdown and other thing, people doesn't have money, so they used to go to the forest for cutting wood and other collection of other NTFPs. And another thing is the unscientific driving of elephants. That thing happens in southern West Bengal, that this hula party is like they drive the elephants haphazardly, and that makes more that creates more problem. So this is the one scene from Assam. This is the one corridor is blocked by wall constructed by Numligarh refineries. So you can search in the net, you can find Numligarh refineries. The elephant is trying to push that wall, and this is a phenomena, and that happened. So elephant is forced to use another different route, and the conflict level on those areas has rise so many times. So this refinery has blocked due to construction of this township and other things, they have encircled all the area and they have closed down the corridor. So next thing, our own killer rail line is North Bengal. You see this rail line. It's like in Assam and West Bengal is the highest number of deaths occurred in due to rail hit, and in North Bengal most of the rail hits occurs in that's one of the best, most beautiful railway track. Like if you see go through this railway track, one of the best beautiful stations. You'll see the rail line goes via jungles and tea gardens, but unfortunately it is crossing all the major corridors in major corridor and habitat. It is crisscrossing Mahananda, it is crisscrossing Chapramari, it is crisscrossing Diana Reserve Forest, it is going to Jaldapara, it is going to Boxa. So it's all the major protected areas getting crisscrossed with this rail line, and that's why this thing is happening, and we have to see this type of incidents in North Bengal frequently. This elephant first got injured and later died. So you see, like few years back, there is like 7 or 8 elephants killed by this train, and that video I don't want to put, so I haven't put that video. So this is North Bengal. It's a very difficult scene if when you see an elephant breathing in pain, because one of my elephants, which were one of my radio collared elephant was killed in this fashion, and I couldn't do anything because due to this impact of this train hit, that backbone was torn of the elephant, and it died. And eventually, Forest Department euthanized that animal to release him from its pain. So this is the what happened from a train hit. So then another thing, this sharing space, the grazing with these cattle and household livestock, that also is a big problem because it not only destroys the habitat but also spread disease. These household animals can spread lots of diseases to the wild animals. So this is another big problem in our forested areas, uncontrolled grazing. Then this collection of sand, this is Tista River Chor. This is falls under the elephant corridor area, and as it is a river chor, there is no legal protection till date. But it's illegal or legal mining is going on, and we cannot blame them because all these building materials comes to us, because whether I am staying in Siliguri or I am staying in this thing, river sand mining is going on in South Bengal also, North Bengal also, and we are the demand. We are making the demand because we need to build houses and other things. That's why this mining is going on. Then major crimes on elephants. What do you see? Poaching, poisoning, injury with arrow and spear. This is the one seen from the elephants from southern Bengal. This is the hula party. You see, hula is like a balem or bollam. That spear thing is poked into the backside of the elephants with burning lights, fire. So that's why this injury happens. It's a very bad injury. Then this is a one prize, sanctuary award-winning prize. This is the people throwing a fireball to the elephants while driving the elephants. You see the pain on the baby elephants, how they are running from this thing. And they are not what they are throwing, this is a rubber or this thing. So sometimes it got stuck in the body also. So you see or you imagine how much pain the elephant would be. So this is a very unhuman way of driving elephants. And then Ganeshadu bin Laden, this elephants this scene was from Assam, Dhanchor Hati Laden. So from Ganesha, it become I don't want to say, but one of the fearsome people in the history, and is a poison to death in Assam. Then electrocution. There are two types of electrocution. One is shagging of the electric line, and another is intentional thing. Intentionally, people put 220-volt live wire in their crop fields, and the elephants while trying to raid crops and get killed. So these are two types of unintentional. I can say that you can see the village line posts are going through the line. So in your village, if someone is staying in Bakura Bishnupur area or in North Bengal, if you see any sagging of your electric line, you have to mention it to their nearest forest department staff or the electric department as soon as possible. You can prevent one such incident of shaggy electrocution death of elephants. And this poaching is rampant, but fortunately the poaching has reduced because of this patrolling and other thing. But one thing is again coming up. This is again in China. They have stopped this thing, ivory trading, but they are now trying to make some beads or ball or like some jewelry from the skin of these elephants. That's why this cutinous thing, the elephants have a very thick skin. From the skin, they are making these balls. Fortunately, it is still in Myanmar. No cases have been reported from India yet. But I don't know. It might in Northeast India. It might start maybe in Nagaland or in Mizoram area. It might start in near future because people, due to this lockdown effect, people doesn't have money. So and elephant meat is released in Northeast India, in Arunachal and other parts. So this might come in due course of time. We hope that it doesn't come, but the situation due to lockdown, this economic condition and other thing might again start this thing in India also. So consequence of conflict, I don't want to tell in details. So loss of life, lots of human injury and human killing, even loss of damage of crops, livestock, everything. You see lots of things are happening in India. Livelihood, affect livelihood, everything. Indirect restricts movement because you have seen in, I am talking about the indirect effect more. In some villages, people don't go out in the night because of the fear of the elephants. Social life is totally stopped in some parts of the India due to fear of the elephant. And psychological, people who have seen his nearer or dearer one getting killed with the elephant, they have some physical, psychological effect also. I have seen one of our temporary driver, his mom and his 7-year-old or 5-year-old child was killed by elephant in front of him. And after that 1 month, he was not able to speak anything during. He was in a totally trauma and shock. Is 1 month or more than that, he was not able to speak. He was not able to take food properly because he said to me that, sir, whenever I was closing my eyes, I am seeing my son getting killed by this elephant. But that thing was accident because another house close to him was storing alcohol, like this handia, this country made rice beer, and in search of that thing, the elephant entered his house and that accident happened. So you see lots of human death and elephants deaths in India, and highest number of the human deaths in 2015 and 2000 is South Bengal, that is from North Bengal. It is cumulative figures from North Bengal and South Bengal. So huge loss. So that is like, so this type of thing happens. They go inside the house for searching for food, maybe stored grain, maybe for salt, maybe for this rice beer also. And you see one report has come that production of rice beer increases the chances of human. It is true. I have seen in my views that in North Bengal, especially in the tea garden area, this handia is more preferred by the locals. And after eating, drinking handia, people go mad. They will go, and if they saw elephants, they will go to like, मैं हाथी बाबा को प्रणाम करने जाता हूँ बोल के चला जाता है, and they eventually get killed. So this type of things happens in North Bengal very frequently, and majority of the tea garden area, this house breaking or the property damage is due to this handia making, because 1 or 2 houses which makes handia, elephants can smell it from 2 kilometers or more than that, and they will go inside the house in search of that thing and break the house. And on that doing so, they will kill. If they encounter some human or other thing, there is chance possibility of getting human getting killed or getting injured. So why do elephants raid crops? So as per Dr. Raman Sukumar, this crop raiding is the ultimate foraging strategy, means they can eat more food in a small time. Crop raiding out of need, because the forest doesn't have proper food, or the habitat doesn't have suitable food. আউট অফ হ্যাবিট একবার খেয়েছি আরেকবার খাবো। And another thing is that it tastes good. মানে so it is like us, like dal bhat, we are eating rice and dal, we are eating rice and dal, and there is a like chicken or fish and everything. So we'll go directly to that portion or paneer or like this thing. So that's why the elephant also prefer. And Sukumar sir in 1989 proved that this wild grass and cultivated grass has more protein content, more sodium content, and more calcium content. So nutritional value is more in the cultivable crops. So that's why elephant movement goes towards the crop raiding is more. And I have seen that elephants have preference. Like if someone is like even inside the crop rice variety, some rices have more nutritional value. So in a village, if somebody has put a special rice in the middle of the field, elephant will go up to that particular paddy or that particular rice and eat it while not touching the other crops. I have seen it in my own eyes that thing happened so many times in Rajabhatkar area, that higher quality rice had been eaten completely by the elephants while they haven't touched this local variety. So male versus females in raiding, males are always opportunistic. Female, as they are having always a baby, so they, due to safety, they always think about the safety of this baby elephant. So they are little less in crop raiding. So in North Bengal, now we come to South Bengal. With South Bengal, we are having one thing, this Kakrajhor area. This is called the Mayurjhorna elephant reserve. And you see these forest patches. This is all small, either reserve forest or plantation forest. So what happens? Elephants come from Orissa or Dalma area to Bagmundi, and there is some resident elephants also. Some residence elephants, all are residence elephants are all males. So they come here and they stay in these forest patches and raid crops. So Bakura is now becoming a conflict hotspot because of this high cultivation on this area. So students, don't worry. You see this Mayurjhorna Elephant Reserve board is there, and the same mistake what you had done, even forest department people also doesn't sometimes forgot to do this check. So they also put the African elephant in the Mayurjhorna Elephant Reserve board. So don't worry, next time you will correct yourself. So don't worry about those things. These mistakes happens from so many even by the big shots also. So this is the South Bengal thing. So all these are for like crop raiding purpose. This is no proper habitat. South Bengal elephant habitat is very small, so it can only serve 60 or 70 acres. But at presently, I think nearly to 150 elephants are there, and all are like mostly comes from Jharkhand area and Orissa area for crop raiding purpose. You see, this is like I don't know the source of the video. So this is like huge herd. They are coming after crop raiding. They are going through the cropland also. So they are not only destroying the crops by eating, by also trampling. So these are two types of damage is done, by eating and trampling. So trampling damage is more than the eating. So this is like a huge loss to the forest families. So these elephants, the thing comes in South Bengal later on. In up to 80s and 90s, there was very less elephants in South Bengal, and the conflict was very less. But this joint forest management grew up so many forest patches along the border, and due to and these are mostly for cultivation, collection of NTFP like sal leaf. So that gives a huge opportunity for the elephants to having a shelter. So as soon as joint forest management forest grew up, the elephants also came back. So that's the problem. If there is no forest, there is no elephants. So when do we grow forest, the elephants also came back, and that came with a surprise of raiding crops. And this South Bengal elephant problem is very recently. So it started from 1995 or so. So that's right. So this thing. For conflict mitigation, there is two types of short term and long term. Short term is like elephant footprint, and there's elephant wall, then machans for guarding, elephant fitted. I'm sorry, this mistake. This is like elephant solar fencing. So disturbances are short because elephant, if you do not maintain these trenches, walls, and this electric fencing, that they will be non-functional within 3 or 4 years. So community participation is less because maintaining a elephant-proof trench or elephant wall or elephant solar fencing needs money. So the community doesn't put money to conserve, and eventually what happens? These projects fails. Then short-term mitigation, biofencing, it's all very good in like newspapers and research articles. I have personally done some of them, but it is not viable because it takes a long time to grow. Eventually, it takes a long time to grow, and they used up one considerable portion of your land. Then chili fences. This is very good in theory. I have done the experience with our team in North Bengal. It gives a little relief from the elephant, but it is not good for the high rainfed area like North Bengal, because as soon as there is a rain, all this mixture, this coating of chili powder and this tobacco powder and grease goes off, and then there is no use of this rope. So that's why this is like a short-term thing, chili fences, but it's still good if you are having a small field and you are in a dry area. If you have the money, you can do it, and you can get your property protected from the elephants. Then conflict mitigation. Another thing is the awareness generation about how to save yourself, how to do, what not to do. This is one conflict mitigation strategy. Then another short term is the translocation. So this is the one elephant, collar elephant. We collared it from captured by the help of Forest Department, and we provided from Indian Institute of Science. We provided a collar. It was from Keshiari. It was transported to North Bengal. So it's like one problem. From where? From South Bengal, we have transferred the problem to North Bengal, and it was released in Sukna area. And what it happened? First 4, 5, or 1 month, it stayed in the jungle, forest completely. It never moved out. So I was tracking that animal. So whenever I used to go tracking, I always found him inside the forest. Then after 1 month, what happened? We started getting complaint about this elephant that it started raiding crops. What type of crop? Because in the hilly area, night traffic is not allowed. So all these trucks with food grains like atta, rice, and other things used to stop in the Sukna area in the night and stay in the hotel. So it started raiding crops from that portion, like that atta, rice, and other thing. So it also get a name of Laden. So people started that why when I went there or our team went for telemetry study, people said that you have the person who have brought the elephant from South Bengal and now it is raiding our crops. But eventually what happened, this elephant had a fight with the other elephants of this area, and it moved to another Ranipur area in Jalpaiguri area and stayed there, very small forest patch beside the Tista river. And eventually it was very old, around it was at the time of capture it was around 45 years old, 45 to 50 years old, and after that it died around after 2-3 years it died. But still what we have done from or the Forest Department or we like the elephant researcher, shifting problem from one place to another place. So this is short term. The problem was never stopped because one elephant had gone, another elephant has occupied that place already. So it is like shifting problem from one place to another place. So conflict mitigation and long-term effect key. So first thing first is improvement of habitat. So in Assam, what they have done, this Ripu Chirang, it was a reserve forest. Now they have given it a protection through making it a national park. So it has got a connectivity from Rhine, Ripu Chirang has now got connectivity with Manas National Park. So Ripu Chirang National Park, Manas National Park, because as soon as you upgrade from national reserve forest to national park, you get more funds, you get more protection for the animals. So then corridor securement, some corridor securement work is going on in Wildlife Trust of India in South in India. They have purchased land and they have handed over those lands in the corridor area, identified the lands critical for the elephant movement, and they have like 6 or 7 corridors have been monitored by the Wildlife Trust of India. Then ex gratia, you see this another problem with the elephant thing is that elephant conflict is the untimely payment of conflict. Like if you lost your crop, you will get 300 rupees or something. So it's like a not worthy. So that's why there is a need of enhance the ex gratia system and making it very quick release of money. Then also people will understand the need of the money, because if you lost all your crops and then suddenly you get only 300 or 400 rupees, it is not. And majority, what I have seen in problem is that the community is not being involved in the mitigation measure. So people, forest department is doing a project, the no community members are involved in this thing. So what happens after that few years or few months, all these projects collapse. In paper, it is okay that we have given a solar fencing of 5 kilometers or 10 kilometers, but eventually it is not working after 2-3 months. And then better surveillance and interstate coordination between the two states, because of this sometimes the elephants have an interstate movement for protection. And employment generation. If we put more emphasis on tourism, like in Boxa or Jallabaria, if tourism is more, people won't go to the forest for collection of non-timber forest produce or wood, and that will surely reduce the dependency on the forest. But one thing we have to be mentioned, we have to keep in your mind: we are going to the jungle and we are going to the forest area, and we are doing the bonfire. So we have to think twice from where the wood is coming. So wood is coming actually from the forest. And we are on our part, we are also putting like contribution from the destruction of the forest. So I request my friends, students, if you are going to jungle, try not to do bonfire, because you see, like if every group is doing a bonfire, how much wood is needed in every day. So that's a big issue to us. So electric fence, this is another big problem. No international movement between. Yeah.
Sir,
Hello?
you said sometime earlier that hello.
I hear. I can hear.
Sometime earlier, you said that elephant is brought from South Bengal to North Bengal.
Yeah.
Is there a risk of that particular elephant becoming an invasive species?
No. All these elephants are Elephas maximus, so there is no problem. If you bring African elephant, then there will be a problem. There is no point of invasion in there. But genetically, mitochondrial DNA structure has included that southern elephants, central Indian population, southern Indian population have some minor differences in the mitochondrial DNA. But I don't know much more about that. You can read about this thing in like TNC Vidya. There is one scientist who is working on that. You can read about her work or Sukumar sir's work in this genetic study about the Asian elephants. Very minor differences is there, very minor. Okay. So this, because it is not an invasive species, because it is the same species from different landscape. Okay. So you see, this is a Kolabari forest. This is actually Nepal Mechi River. So the Nepal has abruptly cut. They have put a 18-kilometer long fence, and they doesn't allow elephants to cross the Mechi River. They in the night they crossfire the elephant on the elephants. So many elephants have suffered injury, bullet injury in North Bengal. So due to this firing, and so there is presently no movement. Even the Jhapa forest has completely erased out. So there is no habitat loss. Habitat is remaining also there. So elephants have the traditional knowledge that they have to go to that side. So that's why the elephants keep going up to that point. They try to go to that point, but eventually there is no forest left in Jhapa area. So for the elephants, and they have wiped out all the elephants there. So that's why they doesn't want any. Nepal people doesn't want any elephants in their territory on that particular area. So elephants are problem because they are now cultivation is in full swing. So they doesn't want any elephants to go there. So then there is, I told you that Ripu Forest, Assam, it's now become a national park, Raimona National Park, and we are from Boxer Tiger Reserve. It is connected between this through Sankos River, this Kumargam and Sankos River. So if these two villages were shifted to some different very good places, so there will be no blocking of the corridors. So elephants can move freely. So this is very vital because elephants connectivity between Assam and India, West Bengal is very much needed. Then we are having a connectivity between this Torsa area, this is Jaldapara and Boxer, through Bharnabar area. Somebody who has gone to Funsaling, they might see this after this Hashimara area. There's a both sides these tea gardens, and all these tea gardens are used by the elephants for their movement. So if we can conserve some portion of these tea gardens properly with plantation and other thing, and that will actually will be good for the elephants for the future, because there will be much more gene exchange between elephant population of Jaldapara and the Boxer, and it's a continuous batch. So elephants keep moving between Boxer and Jaldapara. I have shown in my movement pattern that elephants moves very frequently between Boxer and Jaldapara. Then we are having a small NGO in Assam, and we are doing small work, and that too this population elephant fringe area, Kaziranga, where we work mostly, it doesn't have that much of elephant problem, but still there is some elephant problem. So this is very close to Kaziranga. Sometimes elephant go inside a village like this. So this is Numligarh area again. But this is not that particular area. So in the bright daylight, elephants is moving inside the village. They are going back to the forest. They have came for raiding crops. You see all these feet are deep in the mud. And the matriarch is keeping a close eye on the people running behind them. Sometimes these female elephants have small teeth, they call as tusks. So we are giving these tongi, like lookout points, to guard crops in the night with the use of these torches, and people are happy to use this tongue because like we made a group of 4 or 5 families, and rotational crop guarding is there, and all the tongis are like scientifically we studied a field, and according to the elephant movement pattern from where the elephants come, by that way we put put more emphasis to restrict movement of elephants entering. We want to block the movement of the elephant from that point. So we are succeeded with the help of the community, and till now we are having like 30 villages we have done this thing, and this is data for one crop cycle. So nearly with these 256 tongis, we have able to like protect crop value of 3 crores or 3.6 crores of crop. This is like a value we estimated like 1 acre area, how much crop we can get according to the forest people, and we are helped by Elephant Foundation and Hemchand Mehta Foundation. So this is a study for one crop cycle. So these tongis are, as per our knowledge, that it is used for 2 or 3 crop cycles, and people after that they get all these groups. We make small groups and they make their own arrangement. Like if there is any like sheep, like any change of the tin shades or the torch lights in there, they are doing it by their own. So it's like a thing going on, and it's like a heat deserved, accepted by the community, because the conflict level is not so high like South Bengal or North Bengal. So that's why this is effective. So what I am trying to say, this project, if I want to replicate in North Bengal or South Bengal, that might not be a hit. Because of this, the conflict level is different. Elephant behavior is completely different in South Bengal, North Bengal, in Assam, Kaziranga area. So we have to think locally about the problem, and according to that need of that area, we have to make the conservation action plan. So this type of thing is not desirable this person is gone there with this mobile photography. You see the elephant is just beside the road and he is trying to take a photograph of this animal. So this is a scene how people disturb the animal, and you might see this person very frequently in YouTube and other thing. And don't trust this person. I personally say I have seen him. He tried to say that no, there is no elephants, and people, as soon as people start moving, and they will get chased by the elephant, and they are doing it to take photographs. And he was also like caught by the forest department while doing so sometimes back, some 2-3 years back. So it is like disturbing the animal properly, up to a great extent, and following the animal to take good photographs. So this is not done. So all the animals are being like chased, harassed or teased. So that's why this type of aggressiveness is seen. It's like 2 minutes video. You see all these animals are doing, and this is the thing. The animal was there, and the people knew that the elephants were there. So they said, "No, there is no elephants. You go." As soon as these bikers gone there, and they are chased by the elephants, and that is done intentionally to take the photographs. You see how close this thing was done. So I have like in my lifetime, I have got so many opportunity to take this type of photographs, very close encounter, but I never do it, never done it, and I'm not going to done it in the near future also. So this is like completely disturbing the animal in their natural habitat for photography purpose. So my request to all the photographers, please don't do this thing. Please, please, please. So this is a forest department vehicle. And this thing happens mostly in the Chapramari area. This person are working. And you see the person is laughing while the motorcycle is being chased. So this is the agony of this photographer. I don't want to be this type of photographer. Even I do, if people give me money also, I am not going to do this thing. So some photographs of me doing field work, trying to learn something about the elephant physiology from a veterinary doctor. It was during a post-mortem, and this was the electrocution date, and Dr. Sir was helping me to understand the internal body because I got the opportunity to work with him. And this is the thing time when he recovered the small fetus from the small fetus from this elephant. Then this is the like awareness activity on field. Then sometimes it is like during our corridor survey, we used to check the elephant dung, and we found lots of elephant dungs with plastic. So people, and the plastic comes from the garbage dumping near the forest areas. So this is very bad thing what we are doing, we humans are doing. And for some personal safety, those who want to take wildlife or elephant ecology, no field work without any permission. Don't ever do any field work without any permission, proper permission. No sample collection without proper permission. Don't do field work under influence of alcohol and narcotics. So if you went to like a study tour or something, and suddenly 4 or 5 men think, okay, I will go for a night safari or something, and after taking beer or alcohol, don't do this thing. This is very not good for your health and not good for the elephant also. And in the jungle, we used to judge the direction of the wind while walking and inside the jungle, because if the elephant wind is coming from the elephant side, we are in a safe position, because the elephant won't get our smell. And if the air is going from our direction to their direction, then we are in a very bad position. So try to listen to the elephants properly, because elephants make lots of sounds. In a glue sounds there is the, so that sound will help you while doing the survey. Avoid most elephants. if you smell something very bad, like much smell you get, you have to avoid that area. Always have a company, some company. Try to get some local field assistant, like local person who knows the forest properly. Try to have some person, and avoid using perfume and body spray. It is very essential if you are going for elephant field work. Don't wear any perfume or body spray because you can be smelled from 2 kilometers away by the elephants. They have a very good sense of smell. So I was talking about another sculpture. This is I think many of us gone to Dholi in Puri area to see the Dholi Shanti Stup. But actually, in below Dholi Stup, as the road started, there is this Samrat Ashok's rock edicts, and above the rock edicts, this elephant sculpture is there. So you can see the rock edict also, the first rock edict after the Kalinga War, and this sculpture of the elephant is one of the oldest rock sculpture of elephant in India. So next time if you go to Puri and you are going to see the Dholi, please do visit this sculpture in Dholi Parvat. And some of the person who have spent their life in elephant with the elephants, like this is Dr. Raman Sukumar, my guru. I have learned so many things. I have learned elephant age, sex classification, elephant behavior, and what else? If there is something problem, still I send a text to him, said I need this type of information. He guides me still. Though I am not his personal student, direct student in Indian Institute of Science, I had worked under a project for 5 years with him. So he's like Elephant Man of India, Dr. Raman Sukumar. You can search about him. He has written 4 books. This is this Asian elephant. It is from his PhD thesis, you can say. And then Elephant Days and Night, A Living Elephants, and the Story of Asian Elephant. These books have like natural history of elephants from the very beginning. He has compiled so many information. Then we have our own Dhridikanta Lahiri Chaudhary sir. He's a professor of English, but he is from Mymensingh, Bangladesh. His ancestral place was in Mymensingh, and trust me, he has in his book, he said that I have met him personally in Buxa. He said that in their household they had having more than 100 elephants in their households, and he used to be a hunter, and then he turned conservationist. But only he has a hunting only declared rogue elephants or killer elephants, no other elephants. So there is a very good book by Hatir Boi by being Bengali by him, or those who cannot read Bengali can go for this a trunk full of tales. The Hatir, it is like English version of the Hatir book. So he's a nice person. And then we have Parvati Barua. You can read this book, Queen of the Elephants. Parvati Barua is the first female elephant mahot, and he is the daughter of Lalji Barua, who is a famous elephant catcher or elephant trainer. So she's now she has become old. She used to train so many elephants. Mahut, she is giving training to Mahut. So you can search about her and you can read about her. Then Cynthia Moss is a director or founder of Ambisoli Trust of Elephants. His Elephant Memories is a very good read. And you can see she has devoted her life for the conservation of elephants in Ambisoli. So now, with your permission, it's come to an end. I thank you, everyone. This is my email address and phone WhatsApp number. So if somebody has some questions or you want to do something or you want guidance about your career in the field of wildlife or elephant ecology, feel free to write to me. I'll say feel free to write to me. Please write in email. I'll be happy to answer all your queries. I'll happy to guide you. Okay, thank you very much. This thing I'm coming to an end. Stop sharing.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for sharing your knowledge with us. Now, I would like to request everyone, if anyone has any question regarding to the topic, you can ask us, sir, or you can write it in the chat box. And I can see we have some questions. Sir, Parveen Begum.
I am.
as human
Sign ಇದೆ
population.
एक minute,
Yes, sir.
sign and 12:30 there is a question. I know some stay beside designation holes or elephants second elements come out mostly in construction that go not there. So in Rajaji, what they have done, Shayani, they have Rajaji National Park, they have constructed over bridges to facilitate movement of the elephants through the corridors, and also they have removed all the Gujjar colonies, those people who used to live inside the Rajaji National Park. They have removed, and so that habitat is trying to their Rajaji and Corbett. They have removed all the Gujjar families, so now they are having much more safer habitat for the. Why don't Ritam Day? Why don't you use your radio collar signal to alert the train drivers beforehand? Train driving system. There is a one system is going on. They have tried to put the borders area marked properly with the elephants. But as you know, we elephants do not know that where the actually where they will cross. So it is very difficult to understand. Sometimes that thing happens, and that system they tried to not a radio collar, but there is a system has gone growing up that if there is any movement of elephants close to the track, forest guards or the local people, forest guards especially, they inform the nearest railway station master. And that because of use of mobile phones, railway master alters the traffic. What are the action that are what Dipshita Hati, what are the action that have been taken to elephant poaching? Views on herb-virus EEVH. Sorry, Dipshita, I don't know herb-virus. I am sorry. But taken an elephant poaching, this is the sorry, Dipshita, don't mind. I told you that I am not a elephant biologist on that thing. But elephant poaching, this increased Wildlife Crime Control Bureau has their network is growing nowadays, and the forest department staffs are also very good. Poaching has reduced drastically in India nowadays because of this. International demand in Japan has also reduced because China has completely banned the use of ivory, and Japan is also slowly moving away from making their these stamps. So demand is decreasing in China and Japan. That's why the poaching is also decreasing, and because there is another type of poaching is going on. This is a poaching of small animals like pangolins and these tokegekko that is growing. This big thing is now growing. There is a demand is going down. That's why the poaching is also reducing. Parveen Begum, as human population increases, the need of land stop the elephant raiding. I told you that if it is very difficult for us to sustain elephants in a small area because elephant needs more food, more area. Because if you put 100 elephants in Jaldapara and completely encircle them, within few years the complete Jaldapara will be gone. So elephant has to disperse to other jungle because then only the Jaldapara forest of the Jaldapara will regain, and so that's why we need corridors. So that connectivity, that whatever forest is left, we have to conserve that forest, and that will be enough for the sustainable of this elephant. And
Sir,
I think there is no other question. Now I can take live questions now.
Sir, I have one more question.
স্যার আমার একটা কোশ্চেন ছিল।
হ্যাঁ বলো শামনি।
স্যার বললাম যদি কোনোদিন হাতি তাড়া করে আমাকে ফরেস্টে, তাহলে কি করে বাঁচতে হবে?
দেখো তুমি কিরকম ভাবে তাড়া করতে পারো। এক হচ্ছে তুমি জঙ্গলে গেছো, তুমি নিয়ম অনুযায়ী তুমি জঙ্গলে গাড়ি করে ঘোরার কথা, তাই তো? এবার তুমি যদি গাড়ি থেকে নেমে যাও তাহলে হাতির দোষ না গাড়ির দোষ? এবার হচ্ছে আমার দোষটা তো তাও কি হচ্ছে, মানে তোমাকে ধরো তুমি জঙ্গলে এমনি রাজা ভাত খাওয়াতেই ধরো আমি তোমার কথা বলছি, বা তুমি লাটাগুড়িতে ঘুরছো, আচমকা তোমার সামনে হাতি এসে গেল, এসে যেতেই পারে, কারণ ওখানে এমন একটা সিচুয়েশন আছে যে যেখানে সেখানে হাতি দেখা যায়, বিশেষ করে এই নর্থ বেঙ্গলে। তখন তোমাকে কি করতে হবে, ডোন্ট রান অ্যাট ওয়ে, ঠিক আছে? প্রথমে তুমি দেখো হাতি কি তোমাকে চেস করতে চাইছে কি চাইছে না। সো প্রথমে পিছন ঘুরে দৌড়ানোর কথাটা চিন্তা করবে না, আস্তে আস্তে আমরা যেটা করতাম সেটা হাতির দিকে চোখ রেখে ব্যাক করতাম, কিন্তু সেটা তো আমাদের অনেক দিনের এক্সপিরিয়েন্সের পরে আমরা বুঝতে পারতাম। সুতরাং ওইভাবে করাটাই আমাদের পক্ষে সেফ আর কি। অথবা আমরা কি করে অনেকে যেটা করে সেটা হচ্ছে জোরে চিৎকার করা, মানে আপনি তোমার হাত এরকম ভাবে তুলে তোমার বডি সারফেসটাকে বাড়িয়ে তুমি যদি চিৎকার করো সেটা কিন্তু অনেকটা এফেক্টিভ হয় হাতির ক্ষেত্রে, বিশেষ করে দিনের বেলায়। রাত্রেবেলায় আমি বলতে পারবো না, রাত্রেবেলায় তো দেখতেই পারবে না কোথা দিয়ে হাতি আসছে, ঠিক আছে, মানে বডি সারফেসটা বাড়িয়ে
আমার
তুমি যদি
নর্থ বেঙ্গলে স্যার হাতি দেখেছি, কিন্তু ওই মানে ওই হার্ট দেখেছি, কিন্তু তারার কেসটা আমি অনেক শুনেছি আর কি, যে মানে লোককে তাড়া করলে নাকি এদিক ওদিক মানে উড়ে যেতে হয়, তারপরে হলো মানে এই বিষয়গুলো আর কি জানতে চাচ্ছিলাম স্যার।
না দেখো, তাড়া করলে তো একটা স্ট্রেট অ্যানিমেল, একটা হাতি কি হয়, হাতি বা অ্যানিমেল খুব তাড়াতাড়ি মুভ করতে পারে না, হ্যাঁ, কিন্তু শর্ট ডিস্টেন্সে কিন্তু হাতি খুব স্পিডে আসে। আর যেহেতু তুমি ভুলে যাবে তোমার 10 পা মানে হাতি 2 পা, এটা আমাদের মাথায় রাখতে হবে, সুতরাং তোমাকে সেই পেসটা রাখতে হবে আর কি। আমারও এমন হচ্ছে, আমার বাইকে হাতি তাড়া করেছে, মানে একটুর জন্য আমি দেখতে পাচ্ছি যে আমার স্ক্রিনে মানে কাছে দেখতে পাচ্ছি যে হাতি সুর বাড়িয়ে আছে, আমাকে ধরবে আর কি, মানে অ্যাক্সিডেন্টলি হয়েছিল, টার্নিং এ হাতি সামনাসামনি চলে এসেছিল, আমার এত বছরের এক্সপিরিয়েন্স আমি বুঝতে পারিনি, মানে দেখতে পাচ্ছি হাতি পিছনে চলে আসছে, কিন্তু লাকিলি আমার বাইক তখন 3rd গিয়ারে না 2nd গিয়ারে ছিল, স্পিডটা আমি 40 তুলতে পেরেছিলাম, বেঁচে গেছিলাম। এবার যদি 40 তুলতে না পারতাম তাহলে হয়তো আমাকে হাতি ধরে নিত, এরকম তো হয়েছে আর কি। অথবা ওই সময় কি করে, সাধারণত আমরা জঙ্গলে যেটা করতাম যে অনেকেই যেটা করে যে একটা কিছু বডির থেকে জামা বা কাপড় একটা খুলে ফেলে দেওয়া, সেটা কি হাতি সেটার দিকে চলে যায় আর কি, সেটার দিকে ওর অ্যাটেনশনটাকে দিয়ে দেওয়া কিছুক্ষণের জন্য, তাতে তুমি একটা তুমি সেফ জোন পেয়ে যাবে। আচ্ছা, আর কেউ?
স্যার
হ্যাঁ,
আমি
বলো।
আবার ওই রাজাজি ন্যাশনাল পার্ক নিয়ে বলছি যে
বলো বলো।
আমি
আমি অনেকদিন কাজ
দাদার
করেছি
থেকে,
রাজাজিতে।
ও আচ্ছা স্যার, আমার মানে দাদার থেকেই শুনেছি আর কি, ওরা যখন থাকতো ওখানে ছোট ছোট বাচ্চারা অ্যাজ ওয়েল অ্যাজ টিনেজার্স, তারা কি করতো, ওই যে ভাঙা ওয়ালস ছিল অনেক, তো ওখান দিয়ে ভেতরে ঢুকে যেত উইদাউট এনি পারমিশন। তো ওটা কি ঠিক করা হয়েছে এখন?
দেখো ওগুলো কি হচ্ছে, এগুলো লোকাল লোকেরাই, মানে এটা তুমি যেটা বলছো তোমার দাদা মনে হচ্ছে ওই
ফুট হিলসে থাকতো, ওই শিবালিক রেঞ্জে।
হরিদ্বারে হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ, শিবানিক রেঞ্জে ওরা ওই মানে একটা ফ্যাক্টরি আছে ওই দিকটা, টাউনশিপের কাছে থাকতো, যেদিকে বাউন্ডারি ওয়াল দেওয়া হয়েছিল ফরেস্ট ডিপার্টমেন্ট থেকে প্রচুর টাকা খরচা করে, কিন্তু কেসটা কি হয়েছে, লোকেরা গরু বা বাছুর চড়ানোর জন্য ওই দেওয়ালগুলো ভেঙে দিয়েছে, এবং ফরেস্ট ডিপার্টমেন্ট যতবার তৈরি করে ততবারই লোকজন ওটা ভেঙে দেয়। এটা তো আর মানে ফরেস্ট ডিপার্টমেন্টের দোষ নেই, ফরেস্ট ডিপার্টমেন্ট চেষ্টা করছে বারবার করার, এবং এবং তারপরে কি হচ্ছে, এলিফ্যান্টের একটা সুযোগ পেয়ে যাচ্ছে ওইগুলো ইউজ করার বারে বারে, এবং এলিফ্যান্ট গুলো পার্টিকুলার ওই পয়েন্ট গুলো দিয়ে, কারণ হচ্ছে একবার একটা দেওয়াল যদি তোমার ধরো পাথরের দেওয়াল বানানো হলো, তারপর সেটা যদি ব্রেক করে দেওয়া হয় সেই জায়গাটা এমনিতেই নরম হয়ে থাকে, হাতি আবার যখনই ওটাকে বানানো হচ্ছে হাতি এসে ওই জায়গাটা ভেঙে দিয়ে ওখান দিয়ে মুভমেন্ট করা শুরু করে দিচ্ছে। হাতিরাও খুব চালাক হয়, বুঝতে পারে কোনখানটা দিয়ে যায়।
ওটার কথা ছড়িয়েছে যে ওইগুলো ভেঙেছে হাতিগুলো, কিন্তু অ্যাকচুয়ালি ভেঙেছে
না না না, হাতিরা ভাঙে না, মানুষরাই ভাঙে, মানুষরা ভেঙে দেয় তাদের গরু বাছুরের জন্য, বা ওখানে কি হয় প্রচুর পরিমাণে কালেকশন করে ওই জঙ্গলের থেকে, শীতকালে স্পেশালি কাঠের টুকরো এইসব কালেকশনের জন্য যায়, তাদের যাতায়াতের সুবিধার জন্য এরা করে। ওটা সমস্যাটা ওখানে, সমস্যাটা মানুষরাই, ঠিক আছে।
2019 6টা টাইগার বেরিয়ে পড়েছিল ওইখান থেকে, ওই ভাঙা দিয়ে
বেড়া তো এখানে না, বেড়া টাইগারের একটা স্বভাবই আছে, কারণ কি জঙ্গলের ভিতরে কোনো ধরো টাইগার 6টা টাইগার হবে না, ওটা লেপার্ড হবে, লেপার্ডই ওখানে বেশি, টাইগার খুব কম রাজাদিতে যে পোর্শনে তুমি কথা বলছো সেই পোর্শনে লেপার্ড বেশি, টাইগার কম। টাইগার আছে, টাইগার চিলা সাইডে আছে, এটা অন্য সাইড, ওটা লেপার্ড। আর লেপার্ড খুব ধূর্ত অ্যানিমাল, লেপার্ড যে কোনো জায়গায় থাকতে পারে, মানে উত্তরাখণ্ডে এমনও মানে আমি দেখেছি যে বাড়ির ছাদে লেপার্ড থাকছে কন্টিনিউয়াস, লোকেরা জানেই না, এত ধূর্ত অ্যানিমাল লেপার্ড। লেপার্ডের সমস্যা খুব কঠিন, নর্থ বেঙ্গলেও দেখা গেছে বাড়ির পাশে লেপার্ড থাকছে চা বাগানে, লোকেরা জানতেই পারছে না, তখন ওই কোনো বাচ্চাকে অ্যাটাক করছে বা কিছু হচ্ছে তখন জানতে পারছে যে বাড়ির পাশে লেপার্ড থাকছে, এরকম খুব ক্যামোফ্লেজ করে থাকতে পারে। আর কেউ?
থ্যাংক ইউ স্যার।
শালিনী দাশগুপ্তা জিজ্ঞেস করেছে, আপনি কখনো হাতির তাড়া খেয়েছেন কিনা?
এটা কার কোশ্চেন?
শালিনী দাশগুপ্তা।
আচ্ছা, প্রচুরবার তারা খেয়েছি।
শ্রেয়া দাশগুপ্তা।
আচ্ছা, প্রচুরবার তারা খেয়েছি, মানে নর্থ বেঙ্গলে তারা খেয়েছি, সাউথ বেঙ্গলে খাইনি, আসামে তারা খেয়েছি, তোমার আসামের থেকে বেশি তারা খেয়েছি আমি নর্থ বেঙ্গলে। উত্তরাখণ্ডে প্রচুরবার তারা খেয়েছি, মানে করিডোর মুভমেন্ট করতে গিয়ে, ভগবানের কৃপাতে বেঁচে আছি এখনো অব্দি। আর কি, দেখতে তো পাচ্ছই প্রচুর তারা খেয়েছে, মানে হাতির তারা না খেলে তো হাতির কাজ করতে পারবো না। কারণ আমরা ধরো ট্রেকিং করতে যাচ্ছি, একটা আমি সিগন্যাল পাচ্ছি একটা হাতির থেকে, আমি তো মানে সেখানে তো আর সাথে তো আরো হাতি থাকে না, ধরো মেল এলিফ্যান্ট কখনো নর্থ বেঙ্গলে একা ঘোরে না, ওর সাথে আরো 2-1টা হাতি ওর আশেপাশে থাকেই। এবার তাদের সাথে কি হচ্ছে, আমাকে যেতে হচ্ছে যখন, তখন আমি তো টের পাচ্ছি যে আরেকটা হাতি আমাকে তাড়া করছে। সুতরাং তারা খাওয়াটা মানে একটা হ্যাবিটের মধ্যে ছিল আর কি, তারা না খেলে খারাপ লাগতো আর কি, এরকম ব্যাপার ছিল নর্থ বেঙ্গল, স্পেশালি রেডিও টেলিমেট্রির কাছে।
স্যার আমি জিজ্ঞেস করতে চাই, আমরা যখন জুতে বা হাতি দেখতে যখন যাই, মানে এলিফ্যান্ট, তখন আমরা খুব এক্সাইটেড থাকি। তো আপনি যখন স্টার্ট করেছিলেন, তো আপনারও তো ওরকম একটা এক্সাইটমেন্ট হবে কি দেখবো কি করবো?
খুব এক্সাইটমেন্ট ছিল, মানে আমি যখন গেছি তার আগে আমার এক্সপিরিয়েন্স বলতে হাতি দেখার এক্সপিরিয়েন্স চাপড়ামারিতে 2 কিলোমিটার দূর থেকে প্রথম জীবনে হাতি দেখেছিলাম, আর চিড়িয়াখানায় হাতি দেখেছি, আর সার্কাসে হাতি দেখেছিলাম। সুকুমার স্যার জিজ্ঞেস করেছে সুমন্ত তুমি পারবে করতে, আমি স্যার একটা চান্স দিন, দেখি যদি না পারি 1 মাস পরে চলে আসবো। তাই প্রথম দিনের এক্সপিরিয়েন্স বললাম, হাতি ঢুকেছি জঙ্গলে, হাতির পায়ের চাপ, গন্ডারের পায়ের চাপ আর গাউড়ের পায়ের চাপ দেখে নিজে চমকে গেছিলাম। সেই চমকানিটা ভাঙতে সময় লেগেছিল 15 দিন 20 দিন লেগেছিল। তারপর তো আস্তে 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 করতে 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 শিখলাম, কাজ শিখলাম। তারপর 2 কিলোমিটার 3 কিলোমিটার বক্সাতে হেঁটেওছি আমরা জঙ্গলের ভিতর দিয়ে। মধুমালায় তো পুরো মধুমালায় আমার হেঁটে ঘোরা অনেকটাই, মানে প্রায় 70-80 কিলোমিটার হেঁটেছি মধুমালাইতে ট্রানজেক্ট সার্ভে করতে গিয়ে। তারপর করিডোরে কাজ করতে গিয়ে তো নর্থ বেঙ্গল আর উত্তরাখণ্ডে তো পুরোটাই হাঁটা আমার। সুতরাং সেখানে বাঘেরও ভয় ছিল, আস্তে আস্তে ভয়গুলো গেছে, ভয়কে জয় করেছে। কিন্তু মাউন্টেন ডিউ না খেয়েই করেছি, মাউন্টেন ডিউ না খেয়েই এগুলো কাজগুলো করেছি। ঠিক আছে, আর কেউ? মৌ, তুমি একটা কোশ্চেন করছিলে, মৌ বাগ?
No sir, thank you.
ওকে,
Anyone has any questions?
আর কেউ কোনো কোশ্চেন?
এই ভাই বিএসসি স্টুডেন্ট, না আমি জাস্ট বলছি বিএসসি স্টুডেন্ট যারা আছো এখানটাতে, তাদের কোনো কোশ্চেন্স নেই? তোমরা তো পড়েওছো এই সাবজেক্টটা, তাহলে তোমরা একদম স্যার আছেন ডাইরেক্টলি, তোমাদের কোশ্চেন করে একজন ঋষিরাজ, একজন দুজন ছাড়া কেউ কোশ্চেনই করলো না বাচ্চাদের মধ্যে। উনি বলছেন কোশ্চেন করতে, উনি বলছেন যতবারও কোশ্চেন করো, তোমরা চুপ করে কেন? এই সুযোগ তো বারবার আসবে না। সো তোমরা
আমি তো বললাম যে আমি আজকে রেডি হয়ে আছি, মানে আমাকে শিলনোড়া বাটা মোড়ো করে বাটতে পারো, কোনো চিন্তা নেই।
হ্যাঁ, তো তোমরা স্যার এত করে বলছেন যখন, মানে স্যার রেডি আছেন বল উত্তর দেওয়ার জন্য, তোমাদের কাছে প্রশ্ন নেই, একটা ইন্টারেস্টিং জিনিস।
স্যার
শুধু হাতির না, শুধু মানে ওয়াইল্ড লাইফ রিলেটেড কোশ্চেন হলেও হবে।
স্যার আমি কখনো কোথাও মানে হাতি দেখিনি বা কোনো জায়গায় মানে গিয়ে দেখার কোনো সুযোগ হয়নি, তো আপনি কোন একটা জায়গা সাজেস্ট করুন যেখানে আমার যাওয়া উচিত।
নর্থ বেঙ্গল চলে যাও, সবচেয়ে ঘরের কাছে, সস্তায় পুষ্টিকর। বা কাজিরাঙ্গা আসতে পারো, খুব ভালো। কাজিরাঙ্গা আছে ফেব্রুয়ারি মার্চ মাস, সবচেয়ে ভালো সিজন হাতি দেখার।
ওকে স্যার।
যে কোনো জঙ্গলে যে কোনো জায়গায় সামারটা হচ্ছে বেস্ট। আর কাজিরাঙ্গাতে সামার হয় না, কারণ সামারটাই কেন, কাজিরাঙ্গাতে বৃষ্টি আগে শুরু হয়ে যায়, তো সেই জন্য কাজিরাঙ্গা তাড়াতাড়ি বন্ধ হয়ে যায়। ওই জন্য কাজিরাঙ্গা বেস্ট সিজন হচ্ছে ফেব্রুয়ারি মার্চ এপ্রিলের মাঝামাঝি, এই সময়টা বেস্ট কাজিরাঙ্গাতে। তখন ততদিনে কাজিরাঙ্গার ভিতরে জল শুকিয়ে যায় এবং অ্যানিমেল সাইটিং খুব ভালো হয়। ওই জন্য কাজিরাঙ্গা ফেব্রুয়ারি মার্চ। আর যদি বাঘ দেখতে যাও তাহলে এপ্রিল মে মাসে কানহা বান্ধবগড় এইসব এরিয়াতে যাও, সবসময় বাঘ পাবে।
ওকে স্যার, থ্যাংক ইউ স্যার।
স্যার বলছি আপনি কোন টাইমে যান স্যার, মানে এরকম মানে ফিউচারে আপনি যাবেন তো নিশ্চয়ই এরকম হাতি দেখতে বা বাঘ দেখতে?
কোথায় বুঝলাম না, করো আরেকবার বলো।
মানে স্যার আপনি ফিউচারে তো যাবেন আবার মানে এরকম ট্রিপে?
আমি তো আছি আর কি, মানে আমি তো ফিল্ডেই থাকি, আমি কাজিরাঙ্গাতেই পোস্টেড।
আচ্ছা আচ্ছা, মানে স্যার মানে আমরা
মানে এমন হয়েছে আমরা
কিছু মানে যদি এরকম কিছু করতে পারি।
তোমরা কি করতে চাও? তুমি যদি তোমার কোনো ক্যারিয়ারে
কাজ মানে দেখতে পারি বা এরকম কিছু।
হ্যাঁ, তুমি এখন কি করছো, মানে এমএসসি করছো না বিএসসি করছো?
লাস্ট সেমিস্টার স্যার, এই হয়ে লাস্ট সেমিস্টার স্যার।
ঠিক আছে, তুমি আগে পড়াশোনাটা শেষ করো, বা যদি কোনো সেরকম মনে হয়, আমার ইমেল অ্যাড্রেসটা তো আমি দিলাম, সুমন্ত1979, আমি লিখে দিচ্ছি। হ্যাঁ, যদি তোমার ভবিষ্যতে কোনো সময় দরকার পড়ে, তুমি আমাকে ইমেল করতে পারো, ঠিক আছে? আমি অবশ্যই তোমাকে চেষ্টা করবো, আমাকে অনেক স্টুডেন্টরা চেষ্টা করে যোগাযোগ করতে। যদি আমি পারি অন্তপক্ষে তাদের চেষ্টা করি বিভিন্ন জায়গায় আমার বন্ধু বান্ধবদের থ্রু দিয়ে কোথাও ভলেন্টিয়ারি বা ইন্টার্নশিপ করানোর চেষ্টা করি। তারপরে তাদের ব্যাপারে তারা কতটা কি ক্যারি করতে পারে চেষ্টাটা আমরা করি আর কি। WIA তে তুমি চেষ্টা করতে পারো, ওয়াইল্ড লাইফ ইনস্টিটিউট অফ ইন্ডিয়া, তাদের ওয়েবসাইটে প্রচুর ভ্যাকেন্সি বেরোয়। তুমি সেখানে ডাইরেক্টলি তুমি চেষ্টা করতে পারো ওয়াইল্ড লাইফ ইনস্টিটিউট অফ ইন্ডিয়াতে ইন্টার্নশিপের জন্য সায়েন্টিস্ট, তুমি তাদের প্রোফাইল পেয়ে যাবে, সেই প্রোফাইল ধরে সায়েন্টিস্টদের তোমার যেটা ইন্টারেস্ট তুমি সেরকম সায়েন্টিস্টদের প্রোফাইলে তুমি তাদের ইমেল করলে তারা যদি অপরচুনিটি থাকে তারা অবশ্যই তারা জুনিয়র বা এরকম ইন্টার্নশিপের জন্য অপরচুনিটি দেয়। শুধু মেল করতে হবে, তোমাদের তো খুব সুবিধা আছে, ইমেল তো হাতের কাছে, মেল করো, দেখবে ঠিক না ঠিক জবাব। 10 জনকে মেল করলে 1 জনকে জবাব পাবে। আমি সুকুমার স্যারকে পাতা জোড়া চিঠি লিখেছিলাম, তখন ইমেল ছিল না, মানে 2005-4 এর কথা বলছি। ইমেল চিঠি পাঠিয়েছিলাম, স্যারের একটা বই থেকে ইমেল অ্যাড্রেস, ফোন নাম্বার আর লেটার পেয়ে তাকে স্যারকে চিঠি লিখেছিলেন, স্যার আমি কাজ করতে চাই। এবং স্যারের ফোন এসেছিল, ফোন আসার পরে আমার বাড়িতে, আমি তখন ছিলাম, তখন তো মোবাইলও ছিল না, বাড়িতে ফোন এসেছে, ইংলিশে বলা হয়েছে যে এরকম ওকে কন্ট্যাক্ট করতে বলা হয়েছে। আমি তো আবার ফোন করে কন্ট্যাক্ট করে তারপরে ব্যাঙ্গালোর গেলাম। ব্যাঙ্গালোর যাওয়ার পরে স্যার আমাকে বললে ঠিক আছে তুমি যাও নর্থ বেঙ্গলে। এইভাবে আমি কাজ শিখলাম আর কি।
ওকে স্যার, আপনাকে মেল করবো স্যার।
হ্যাঁ অবশ্যই মেল করো, শুধু লিখে দেবে যে আশুতোষ কলেজ, তাহলে আমার মনে থাকবে।
থ্যাংক ইউ স্যার।
থ্যাংক ইউ স্যার।
থ্যাংক ইউ সুমন্ত।
আরেকজন মনে হয় কোশ্চেন আছে, স্তুতি কিছু একটা কোশ্চেন করেছে, মৌ নাও। স্তুতি রয় একটা কোশ্চেন করেছে।
Sir, how have you decided to join this field?
এটা একটা মানে কঠিন কোশ্চেন। আই ওয়াজ ওয়ার্কিং ইন উত্তরাখণ্ড, ওকে, in Topovan area, that particular area where few days back there is a huge landslide and people got killed due to flood. You know this Uttarakhand flash flood few months back, that Topovan Ghat project. So I was working there in Uttarakhand. So at that time I saw two Himalayan black bear fighting. I was in a village, and on the opposite side of that village there is a valley, and that valley I saw two Asiatic black bear fighting. So that gave me like strike me that क्या মানে আমি কি কাজ করছি, সয়েল বায়োডাইভার্সিটি ফাইটোডাইভার্সিটি নিয়ে কি কাজ করতে হলে এরকম কিছু কাজ করা যাক। তো সেখান থেকে আমার ইনস্টিগেট হয়েছিল আর কি। তারপর থেকে কলকাতায় ফিরে আসি, আমি জেআরএফ শিফট ছেড়ে দিয়ে এসে তারপর সায়েন্টিস্টদের চিঠি লিখে মোটামুটি এই করে এখন কাজকর্ম করছি আর কি।
স্যার অনামিকা ঝা জিজ্ঞেস করেছে, does solar fencing help in controlling elephant attack, or does it result in increasing of death rate of the elephants?
না, সোলার ফেন্সিং এ হাতির কোনো মৃত্যু হয় না, সেটা কনফ্লিক্ট রিডাকশনে হেল্প করে। বিকজ সোলার ফেন্সিং এ যেটুকুনি কারেন্ট দেওয়া হয় সেটা একটা এনার্জাইজার দিয়ে একটা করে পালস যায়, এন্ড সেই পালসটা তুমিও যদি ধরো, তোমারও কিছু একটা জোর ঝাটকা মতো লাগায় আর কি, একটা পালসের ঝটকা দেয়, বাস, তার বেশি কিছু হয় না। এবং তাতে কোনো এলিফ্যান্টের কোনো ক্ষতি হয় না, কিন্তু সেই ঝটকাটা এতটাই যে ফ্র্যাকশন অফ সেকেন্ডস এর জন্য একটা সেগমেন্ট যায়, সেই ফ্র্যাকশনটাতে যেটা হয় সেটাতে ঝটকা খেয়ে ম্যাক্সিমাম হাতিরা চলে যায়। কিন্তু কিছু সাম টাস্কার্স আর দেয়ার, দে আর ভেরি ক্লেভার। তারা কি করে, গাছ ফেলে বা পা দিয়ে ওই পোল গুলো ভেঙে তারা পার হয়ে চলে যায়, ঠিক আছে? ওরা হাতিরাও বুদ্ধি বার করে নেয়।
স্যার,
হ্যাঁ
স্যার বলছি যে আমরা জঙ্গল সাফারিতে যাই জিপে করে, তো সেটাও তো এলিফ্যান্টের কাছে একটা ওয়ান টাইপ অফ ডিস্টারবেন্স। তো ইউজুয়ালি জিপ সাফারিতে এলিফ্যান্ট কোনো অ্যাটাক মানে সেভাবে করে না, মানে যেরকম কেউ যদি এমনি নেমে, আপনি একটু আগেই বললেন যে গাড়ি থেকে নেমে যদি কিছু করে,
না করে কি হয়, তুমি ধরো হাতিটাকে, হ্যাঁ, যেমন এখানে করবেটে একবার হয়েছিল, একটা টুরিস্ট গ্রুপ হাতিকে খুব উত্তক্ত করেছিল, ঠিক আছে? মানে হাতির গ্রুপটা ছিল সেখানে, তারা হাতিকে চিৎকার চেঁচামেচি করে বারে গাড়ি নিয়ে যাচ্ছিল, গাড়িটাকে ব্যাক করাচ্ছিল, করাচ্ছিল, এরকম অনেকক্ষণ করার ফলে অন্য একটা গ্রুপ সেই গ্রুপটা দেখতে পায় এবং তারা গিয়ে কমপ্লেন করে, এবং কমপ্লেন করার পরে ওই টুরিস্ট গাড়িকে এবং টুরিস্টদের সবাইকে ফাইন করা হয়েছিল অ্যানিমেল টিজ করার জন্য, অ্যাজ পার ওয়াইল্ড লাইফ প্রোটেকশন অ্যাক্টে। সুতরাং মানে আমি যদি হাতি দেখে, আমরাও তো হাতি দেখতে যাই, কিন্তু সেরকম কি হয়, যখন দেখছি হাতি আছে দূর থেকে দেখলাম ঠিক আছে, এবার আমি হাতিটাকে টিজ করব না, মানে এই যে ভিডিওটা দেখালাম যেখানে দেখা যায় হাতিগুলো তেড়ে তেড়ে আসে, এগুলো সবকটাকে হাতিগুলোকে those elephants are teased to the ultimate level. That's why the elephant tried to chase the animal. আদারওয়াইজ আর আরেকটা ব্যাপার কি, অনেক সময় যে টাস্কার বা মাখনা যদি হিটে থাকে বা মাস্তে থাকে, তখন সেটা কিন্তু আনপ্রেডিক্টেবল, এবং হয়েছে কিছু কিছু জায়গায় যে মাস্তে থাকা এলিফেন্ট অ্যাটাক করে দিয়েছে উইদাউট প্রভোকেশন। সো আমি যে বললাম যে মাস্ত এলিফেন্ট দেখলে ওটাকে অ্যাভয়েড করা উচিত। সুতরাং ওটাই সাধারণত ফরেস্ট গার্ডরা বা ফরেস্ট ড্রাইভাররা যারা এক্সপিরিয়েন্স ড্রাইভার তারা ওরকম করে। কিন্তু কি হয়, ধরো তোমার আগে কোনো এলিফেন্ট ফটোগ্রাফার গেছে, তারা এলিফেন্টটাকে আউটমোস্ট ডিস্টার্ব করে দিয়ে গেছে, এবং তুমি তার সামনে গিয়ে বলে তখন তুমি অ্যাটাকের সম্মুখীন হয়ে যেতে পারো। এটা একটা মানে খুব বাজে ব্যাপার, মানে এইরকম একটা ট্যুরিজম চলে যে এলিফেন্টের চেজিং এর ফটো নেবে বা কিছু করবে, এবং তাদের জন্য নর্মাল টুরিস্টরা অনেক সময় সাফার করে যায়।
স্যার,
আচ্ছা স্যার, থ্যাংক ইউ।
রোহিত কুমার সিং জিজ্ঞেস করেছে, স্যার ইফ আ হার্ড caught in a flood situation, how do they get out of it and how does forest department help them in flood prone areas in Kaziranga?
Okay, flood prone areas. During flood, what happens? The elephants are as soon as the rain starts, long prolonged rain, elephants starts to move out of the forest, and they start moving towards the highland areas. So in Kaziranga already they are having natural highlands in Karbi Angla. Through the corridor, those highlands of the hills of the Karbi Angla is connected, and forest department what they do, whenever they saw elephants herd approaching the corridor area, they will stop traffic completely for hours also, like 2 hours, 1 hour, they will stop complete movement, they will stop complete movement of the herd, those traffic. So that helps the elephant to pass. So that the forest department then do, and they are also making some highland in the forest area. So as soon as the flood water level rises, the elephants gets to know that elephant water level is rising. So they all start moving out also. So this is the protection forest department giving. They will stop traffic at the earliest moment. Whenever they saw the elephant herd is approaching the corridor, they will stop the traffic so that the elephants cross the area without any difficulty.
Thank you, sir. Shantani Halda জিজ্ঞেস করেছে, how does the movement of dispersal pattern of elephant herd changes during different seasons?
Okay, so different seasons elephant movement pattern changes. So if mostly dekho what happens, what I have seen during crop raiding season, what happens, the herd generally stays in a small group. As soon as they saw that the elephant they knew the cropping season, cropping pattern, and they can smell it for a far away, so they will conglomerate in a herd, huge group, and then they will start moving towards the crop raid. সো ফর ক্রপ রেডিং মানে কি হচ্ছে, একটা যখনই তারা বুঝতে পারবে যে আমরা ক্রপ রেড করতে যাব, তখন তারা অনেকগুলো হাতি হয়ে যাবে। এবং কি হয়, মানুষের পক্ষে একসাথে 10টা হাতিকে তাড়ানো যত সহজ, ইটস ভেরি ইজি টু ড্রাইভ 10 এলিফেন্টস, বাট ইটস ভেরি ডিফিকাল্ট টু ড্রাইভ 50 or 60 elephants. So they disperse during the crop raiding season. So this is a strategy they play. They take a hide and seek policy to raid crops during crop raiding season.
রায়া মজুমদার, তুমি কিছু বলবে?
হ্যাঁ স্যার, বলছি যে কাজিরাঙ্গাতে যখন ফ্লাড হয় তখন তো মানে ম্যাক্সিমাম যে হিউম্যান এলিফ্যান্ট কনফ্লিক্টটা হয়, ওরা যখন মানে পাস করে ওই টি গার্ডেন্স গুলো রয়েছে যেগুলো,
না 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 তখন হয় না ক্রপ রেডিংটা। ক্রপ রেডিংটা ধানের সিজনে, মেইনলি লিম সিজনে, যখন মানে কাজিরাঙ্গা আশেপাশে ক্রপ রেডিংটা কখন হয় বলতো, যখন দেখছি যে জঙ্গলের নর্মাল টাইমে ক্রপ রেডিং হয়। ফ্লাড সিজনে ক্রপ রেডিং কিন্তু খুব কম হয়, অ্যানিমাল একই ডিস্ট্রেসে থাকে। ওরা কি করে, ওরা তখন হাইল্যান্ডে চলে যায়, যেগুলো ন্যাচারাল হাইল্যান্ড, কার্বি আংলং হাইল্যান্ডসে, ওখানে গিয়ে ওরা ওয়েট করে, আবার জল নেমে গেলে পরে তখন ওরা চলে আসে, এবং ওরা যখন ধান পাকবে সেই সময় গিয়ে অ্যাটাক করবে। আর ফ্লাড সিজনে অ্যাটাক করে না। ফ্লাড সিজনে কি হয়, বলো।
তা আমি বলছি যে মানে যখন ফ্লাড সিজন চলে তখন ওরা তো মুভ করে না ওই ট্রি, মানে যে চা বাগান গুলো রয়েছে, তো চা বাগানে তো ওরা ইউজুয়ালি কোনো ক্ষতি করে না বা কোনো ক্রপ রেডিং করে না, কিন্তু ওই টাইমটাই সবচেয়ে বেশি হিউম্যান এলিফ্যান্ট কনফ্লিক্ট হয়। মানে আমি এটা একটা পেপারে পড়েছি, ওই তো মানে স্যার বরুণ গোস্বামীর একটা পেপার। তো ওখানে লেখা রয়েছে যে এই
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ
টাইমটাতে সবচেয়ে বেশি হিউম্যান মানে ওয়াইল্ড লাইফ কনফ্লিক্টটা হয়, কিন্তু মানে কেন হয়? এখানে তো ক্রপ ট্রেডিং খুব একটা বেশি ওরা মানে করে না, যেহেতু ওরা
না
ফাস্ট
না
করে জাস্ট।
এখানে দু রকমের, এখানে কি হচ্ছে, এখানে ক্রপ রেডিংটা হচ্ছে না, কিন্তু কনফ্লিক্টটা অন্যরকম কনফ্লিক্ট হচ্ছে। কি হচ্ছে, টি গার্ডেনের মধ্যে পাস করার সময় অনেক সময় ওদের সামনে মানুষ পড়ে যাচ্ছে বা হাউস হোল্ডস গুলো পড়ছে, সেগুলো ব্রেকিং হয়, সেই কনফ্লিক্টের কথা বলা যাচ্ছে এখানে। ঠিক আছে, এখানে কিন্তু বা স্টোর যে গ্রেন থাকছে সেগুলোর জন্য ওরা মাঝে মাঝে ক্রপ রেড করছে। এখানে কিন্তু মানে নর্মাল যে ক্রপ রেডিং সেই কনফ্লিক্টটা হচ্ছে না, এটা অন্য সেকেন্ডারি কনফ্লিক্ট গুলো হচ্ছে এখানে।
আচ্ছা স্যার।
আমার ওকে।
হ্যাঁ স্যার, হ্যাঁ স্যার, ওকে।
স্যার কোয়েল বসাক জিজ্ঞেস করেছে, স্যার নর্থ বেঙ্গলে ডুয়ার্স ফরেস্টের মধ্যে দিয়ে যখন এলিফ্যান্ট করিডোরের মধ্যে যাওয়ার জন্য এলিফ্যান্ট মারা যাচ্ছে, তো এখন প্রেজেন্ট সিচুয়েশন কি তাদের প্রোটেক্ট করার জন্য?
বুঝলাম না, আরেকবার একটু বলো।
স্যার যখনই
আরেকবার রিপিট করবে।
স্যার নর্থ বেঙ্গলে যখনই ডুয়ার্সের মধ্য দিয়ে যেমন ফরেস্টের মধ্য দিয়ে যখন এই ট্রেন গুলো যাচ্ছে এলিফ্যান্ট করিডোরের মধ্য দিয়ে, তো আমরা প্রচুর দেখি এরকম কনফ্লিক্ট হচ্ছে, প্রচুর এলিফ্যান্ট মারা যাচ্ছে। তো স্যার এখন প্রেজেন্ট সিনারিও কি বা
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ,
কোনো স্টেপস নেওয়া হয়েছে?
প্রেজেন্ট সিনারিও হচ্ছে যে এখন অনেকগুলো স্টেপ নেওয়া হয়েছে, তার মধ্যে হচ্ছে যে স্পিড রিডাকশনটা একটা বড় ব্যাপার। স্পিড রিডাকশনটা অনেক জায়গাতে আবার নতুন করে স্পিড রিডাকশন জোনেশন করা হয়েছে। তারপরে হচ্ছে যে ক্রপ রেডিং সিজনে স্পেশালি ড্রাইভারদের যেগুলো ক্রপ প্রোন এরিয়া, ক্রপ রেডিং এ যেখানে মুভমেন্ট গুলো হয় সেই অঞ্চলগুলোকে ড্রাইভারদের অলরেডি সিনথেসাইজ করা হয়েছে যে আপনারা এই সময়গুলোতে এই জায়গাগুলোতে পার্টিকুলারলি এই সিজনে আপনারা আরেকটু অ্যালার্ট ভাবে চালাবেন। সেই জন্য অনেকটাই লাস্ট 2 বছরে অনেকটাই কমেছে, কিন্তু নোবডি নোজ অ্যাকচুয়ালি কি ফট করে আচমকা ট্রেনের টাইমিং এ কোন সময় এলিমেন্ট চলে আসবে, এটা নোবডি নোজ অ্যাকচুয়ালি। So that's another issue arki. So they are trying, I have seen so many videos, people are this train loco drivers are stopping the train as soon as seeing the elephants, and also getting the information over the phone that some elephant herd is close to the track, but still sometimes accidents happens. আবার কি হচ্ছে যে জোনের বাইরে আর কি বলা তো জানো, এলিফ্যান্টও আনপ্রেডিক্টেবল অ্যানিমাল, অনেক সময় জোনের বাইরে চলে যাচ্ছে, মানে ধরো ড্রাইভিং করছে যারা, তারা হাতিগুলোকে এমন ভাবে ভাগালো হাতিটা হয়তো অন্য দিক দিয়ে ক্রস করতে গেল লাইন, সেখানে একটা প্রবলেম হয়ে যাচ্ছে কনফ্লিক্ট। মিটিং এগুলো চলছে, মিটিং প্রচুর, আর হয়তো ভবিষ্যতে যে সেকেন্ডারি লাইন রয়েছে যেটা আলিপুরদুয়ার না হয়ে তোমার নিচে কোচবিহার হয়ে যাচ্ছে, সেই লাইনটাকে ডাবল লাইন করে সেখান দিয়ে কিছু ট্রেন পাস করানোর চিন্তা ভাবনা ইন্ডিয়ান রেলওয়েজ নিচ্ছে।
ওকে স্যার, থ্যাংক ইউ স্যার।
তাহলে শান্তনু আজকের মতো কি এখানেই নাকি?
স্যার আরেকটা প্রশ্ন এসছে।
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ বলো বলো।
বিজিত চ্যাটার্জি জিজ্ঞেস করেছে, স্যার আর এলিফ্যান্ট স্টিল কিল্ড ফর টাস্কস অর হ্যাজ ইট রিডিউসড?
হ্যাঁ একটু কমেছে, কারণ ইন্টারন্যাশনাল মার্কেটে there is a demand has reduced for elephant tusk, that's why poaching cases has gone down little bit.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Shantanu.
Sir, now I would like to request Priyanka to say some words.
Good afternoon, everyone. Sir, can I audible?
Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Priyanka Mandal, MSc, student of Ashutosh College. I am here to present the vote of thanks of today's webinar. I would like to thank our guest webinar speaker, Mr. Suvanto Kundu sir, for enlightening us with their knowledge. Today's webinar was full of knowledge and interesting, also interacting. The point that sir told us about the elephant tails, a soft note on their ecology and conservation, was really informative. I am pretty sure the knowledge that sir shared with us will definitely help us in our study and future. Once again, I would like to thank Mr. Sumanto Kundu sir for taking out the time from the busy schedule and giving us enlightening knowledge. Thank you so much, sir. I would also like to thank our teacher for giving permission to organizing this webinar session and inviting sir to conduct it. I want to thank the student of second semester who really worked hard to make this event successful. And also thank to all the students and respected teachers for paying your attention and learning. Now I would end my speech here, and the Google link form is given in the chat box. Please give your valuable feedback so we can do better next time.